Hi students, and welcome to our live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a superb weekend so far. I hope you're all staying healthy and strong. Students, in this class, we are going to be taking some IELTS questions from our members and viewers. This is a class that we host once every couple of weeks to give a chance to all of our members who support our channel to ask their questions about IELTS or about the English language so that they can improve their band scores and go for those band 9 results. Mien has joined already, and Kyber's joining in right now. We've got more members coming in. While our members are coming into the class, a little bit about us. These lessons are brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Check us out there. You can get answers to many of your questions on our websites. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. Both of those websites have loads and loads of materials to help you improve your English communication and your IELTS band scores. This is our academic IELTS website here. You can join our premium package by clicking this button that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, so it's well worth it. Welcome, Jainil. And once you join, you have access to your My Student account that's way up at the top there. And then again, in here, you have lots and lots of help. So you have computer-based practice exams where you click on one of these and then you'll be in an IELTS exam. This is for the reading section. And then as well, you have your full online academic IELTS course where you can get strategies for all parts of the IELTS. Lesson videos. And then importantly, I always show students during these question and answer sessions these kind of big buttons here. Let me go for those right there. The blog and the forum. So if you click on our blog or if you click on the forum section of our website, then here you can also ask questions from other students as well as us to get answers. Okay. Welcome, Manya. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Again, members, this is a question and answer class, so please get your questions ready about the IELTS exam or about English, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Of course, you have this red question mark button as well, where you can just send us a question, or sorry, the contact us button. Hit the contact us button, and then you can send us a question here as well through email. Okay, so lots and lots of help there. Same idea for the general IELTS at gieltshelp.com. It's a green background. You can click this big red button right there to join our premium package. Again, it's a one-time payment for lifetime access, so it's really, really well worth it. Welcome, Andre. Hi to you as well. Hi, Bakrat. So again, Q&A class today, students. It's a first come, first serve. So the first question will get the first answer. And of course, if questions are related, I will do my best to make those connections. All right, everyone. So here we go. If you decide to get that premium package, again, it doesn't cost a lot at all. And to help you even further, there's this code 20% off R4TYJ, so you can get that discount. You can follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTSHelp. On our Instagram profiles, we post daily vocabulary, tips, strategies, questions, our schedule. If you have questions that we don't get to today, please just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. Again, so we have a full schedule next week, even on Christmas. So December 18th to December 25th. Our schedule will look like this. I'll put this up on our YouTube community board as well as Instagram. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, no live classes, but we've got new HD classes coming to our channels, so check that out, okay? And then we've got lots and lots of classes coming up from Wednesday, the 22nd, all the way to the 25th, so definitely take a look at that. All right. Okay, everyone, so we'll get into our questions and answers, if you have a question, just let us know. Students in the General English Help channel, I'm looking at you as well, so if you have a question, Manya, just let me know. I can see that Kyber already is asking a question, which is fantastic. So again, anything that you've come across, and when you're doing your studies, if you have questions, write these down because you can ask them during these Q&A sessions. Members, so here we go. Let me just do something a little bit different here. All right, there we go. Okay, so now you can kind of see my screen as well, and you can see our members in here already ready to learn. Okay, and Kyber is asking a good question here. Very good question, actually, Kyber. So Kyber is asking, sir, how to detect and avoid wordy sentences in writing? Okay, Kyber, let me just grab that question and then we'll get it here. Okay, so this is for the writing section, clearly. All right. So, okay. Very good question, Kyber. Very, very good question, because it's actually one of the most common ways that students score kind of a band 7, 7.5 instead of an 8 or an 8.5 because they have wordy sentences. So first of all, Kyber, let me kind of write an example wordy sentence, and then I think that will make more sense. So let's say that you have a task 2 question, Kyber, and the task 2 question is something like this. What are the advantages and disadvantages of driving a car to work? Okay. All right, and then let's say that you're writing your essay, Kyber, and you write a sentence like this. Actually, I'm going to do this again because this is something I see a lot of times when students are doing this. In my opinion, I believe that cars benefit drivers who are commuting to work by saving their time, since they do not need to walk or take the bus. However, the emissions from their cars may lead to more pollution, which is bad for the air. Okay, so Kyber, there we go. All right, so let me actually make this a little bit smaller here so we can see it better. All right, there we go. So this is kind of a typical type of sentence, Kyber, that I often see for students, okay? to write this. Okay, so again, Kyber's question here is, how do we detect and avoid wordy sentences in writing? It's a very, very good question, and it's a question that I think everybody should ask, even people who are quite advanced in writing, when you're doing this. Okay, so the reasons that these kinds of sentences lower your band score are, so it's actually called wordiness. Wordiness is a type of mistake in writing, and it's actually considered a bad mistake and one of the most common types of mistake at the high band score, so band score 7, 8, 9, okay? And wordiness leads to confusion, wasting time, and awkward flow of reading. So that's why it's bad, okay? When we have too many words expressing one idea, then the reader eventually starts to be like, what's going on? There's too many ideas, too much repetition of ideas happening here, and it becomes awkward and it wastes time that you can use to give more detail. Okay, so time that could be used for more details and valuable information. Okay, so that's why wordiness is really, really bad at the higher levels of writing, right? And a native speaker, an examiner, will definitely catch that. They'll be like, oh, this student's just kind of using way too many words to express one idea. Okay, so again, here's the example. All right. So let's say that you have a task 2 question. The question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of driving a car to work? Now, the best way to avoid and reduce wordiness, to answer your question, Kyber, okay, is first of all, always review your writing for conciseness. Okay, conciseness means that you're actually saying the ideas in a short way. There's a word for that, so you can imagine that it's important. It's called concise. So professors often in college and university will tell students you have to be concise in your communication. So review your writing for conciseness, okay? And in specific, you want to review your writing in this way. So first of all, check for repetition of ideas, words, and phrases. Okay. B, look for phrases that can be better expressed by one word. Okay. And then C, check your grammar to see if a simpler or other grammar form can make the sentence more concise. Okay, it's a very good question. And I'll give you this example. All right, so one of the most common types of mistakes I see is this kind of mistake here. Let me ask you, students, so what do you think? So what is some steps we could do with my example to make it more concise? Let me just kind of pull everything here so we can maybe see what some of our members are responding to this. So again, here are the sentences. In my opinion, I believe that cars benefit drivers who are commuting to work by saving their time, since they do not need to walk or take the bus. However, the emissions from their cars may lead to more pollution, which is bad for the air. So give me some ideas. What can I do to make this sentence more concise? Okay, and again, having concise writing comes from practice. It comes from training your brain to do this. And sometimes students will say, oh, well, I don't have the vocabulary, or I don't have the English. It's not true. Okay, you do. It's being concise in your writing is much more about just thinking and the way that you look at the information. Yeah, so Mien right here says, in my opinion, and I believe that have the same meaning, so we should erase one. Absolutely, it's a very common mistake. So here we should erase the I believe that. Okay, let's say, for instance, that we erase that, okay? Yeah, Janelle says that too. So you can erase I believe that. So we can say, in my opinion, cars benefit drivers who are commuting. Okay, we can do more erasing. Tell me more. Okay, so that was the easy one. And that's the one that, you know, it's an easy catch. So make sure that you erase that one. All right. Okay. Okay, what else? What else? This is a great question by Kyber. And yeah, I definitely think it's a good one to start with. I see some other good questions as well. So we've erased I believe that. What else can we do? Tell me how else I can make this a better, more concise sentence where I'm not wasting a ton of time and I'm making more sense, or it's easier for the reader to understand what I'm saying. There's a lot more. I'll give you a hint. There's at least 3, 4 more steps that we can take. Okay, so Mien says drivers who are commuting to work. Simplify that to commuters. Very good, Me. Absolutely. Okay, so notice this very wordy grammar here. So who are commuting to work. Okay, so we could say, I believe, or sorry, we could say, in my opinions, cars benefit commuters going. Okay, so let's replace that with this here, and then let's take out this. Okay. And then we're going here. So, okay, now the sentence is becoming a bit better. So we're saying, in my opinion, cars benefit commuters going to work by saving their time since they do not need to. There's even more, everyone. What else can we do here? Okay, keep looking at it. And Kyber, this is exactly how you detect and avoid, by practicing and figuring out how to do this in an easier way. All right? I'll give you one more chance here to give me some more ideas. All right? And then we'll move to some other questions, because I can see that there are some other good questions coming up here. Okay. All right, so some other ways. This is still a very wordy sentence. This would still not be considered a Band 9 caliber sentence. Okay. All right, what else can I do? And you have to be careful, because when you're making your sentence more concise, you must be careful not to lose information. Okay, so that's also an important detail to pay attention to, is don't lose any important information. Okay, so Me says maybe we should erase from their cars. Yeah, we don't need from their cars, exactly. It's understood information. Of course, in this sentence we know that these emissions are the gases, right, that are coming out of the exhaust. We know that the emissions are coming from the exhaust, so it's unnecessary, okay? Don't include information that is clear for the reader. You don't need to say that. When you have repetition of nouns like cars, that's usually a strong hint that something is going on there, okay? Yeah, exactly, Laura. Very good. So Laura is saying, there we go. So see, now you're picking it up. It just takes a bit of thinking, right? So Laura says, I suppose we can take out which is bad for the air because it's, again, redundant information. Yeah, this is unnecessary, which is bad for the air in this kind of sentence. So take out information which is intuitive. Intuitive means clear for the reader. Now you have to be very careful there because not all information is clear for the reader, but most readers will know that emissions are bad for the air. Okay? All right? So we can take that out. All right? Okay, another kind of common mistake for wordiness is unnecessary articles or unnecessary pronouns. Okay, so take out, and this takes practice, but you should practice it. Take out unnecessary pronouns like they and their, and articles. Okay, sometimes students overuse articles like a, an, and the. Okay, so here, for instance, we can take out their. Okay, it's unnecessary. We know it's the time of the commuter or of the person, so we don't need that. Okay. Okay, now we could argue that since they do not need to walk or take the bus, it may or may not be necessary, but we do have to be careful because that's not necessarily understood for the reader, so we might want to keep that. Okay, also another one is that well, I don't know if it's wordiness per se, but it helps to make the sentence better, is take out weak, often modal language. Okay, so here is this other word, may, and I see this a lot where students use words like would or may or could. And these modal words, they actually weaken your writing. So they're bad in two ways. They make your, I should not put that in green, they make your writing weaker, and they also make it wordy. Okay? So if I have this sentence now, let me put it below here. Okay? And let's take out these elements. And then we can compare it. Okay. Very good question, Kyber, to start the class here. Look at all of these just disappearing there. You hear me hammering away on the delete button, maybe even. Okay. So here we have the original sentence one more time. In my opinion, I believe that cars benefit commuters going, or sorry, one more time. In my opinion, I believe that cars benefit drivers who are commuting to work by saving their time since they do not need to walk or take the bus. However, the emissions from their cars may lead to more pollution, which is bad for the air. Okay? Now here's the much better sentence. So in my opinion, cars benefit commuters going to work by saving time since they do not need to walk or take the bus. However, the emissions lead to more pollution. Okay? You can hear it. Like when you read it, you can hear it. So this first sentence is 46 words. And this second sentence is 30 words. Okay. So it's 46 words. Just did the word count on it. And by the way, I minused these two words because I know we're still using those and we added those. So I did take those out. It actually showed me 48 words, right? And this second sentence here is 30 words according to, so that's a difference of 50%. Okay, that's huge, right? Imagine that on an essay that's 450 words. So think about that, okay? Just so you're like, oh, it's okay, it's 16 or 15 words, but what does that actually mean? So this means that you can turn a 450 word essay into a 300 word essay. Okay, so it is very important to work on wordiness and making your sentences much more concise. Okay, so does that make sense, everyone? Is that good? Okay, thumbs up. You got it. So again, just to reiterate, to reduce wordiness, look for word repetition. Look for weak words, modals that are not necessary. Look for pronouns. And look for articles that are not necessary. Look for grammar. Maybe another type or another grammar approach can make the sentence a lot more concise. Look for intuitive ideas. So some idea that, like you say, people need to breathe. Okay, well, yeah, most people know that people need to breathe. You don't have to tell your reader, right? Okay, so we've got some thumbs up there. That's super cool. Yeah, Bakrad, the second version of that sentence would definitely be closer to your Band 9 type of writing. Okay. All right. So be very careful. Okay. Be very, very careful and practice writing concise. Okay. All right. And I did see some more questions coming after Kyber here, but I did see a question that was related to this. So I'm going to look at that one. And I believe it was... Yeah, so there was a task 2 question that was asked here. Let me try to find it. Maybe it was taken out. Okay. Yeah, students, don't remove your questions once you have them in there, because I think, Hasna, this was you had a task 2 question here. Oh yeah, I think it was, yeah, so Hasna was asking this, I believe. See, I'm really paying attention to your chat, everyone. Hasna was asking this question. It was a good question. So Hasna was asking, is task 2 more formal or informal language? Okay, there's actually an interesting answer to this, Hasna. So the answer is threefold. So task 1 for academic is formal, expository, essay in third person voice. Okay. Task 2 for general, or I should say, and academic, is formal, persuasive essay in first or third person voice. And task 1 for general is informal or formal in first person voice. I should say narrative essay in first person voice. Okay, so this is what you need to know. And Hasna, this is a really good question because a lot of students don't understand this or don't understand it enough. But task 1 for academic is a formal expository essay where you explain a table, a pie chart, a diagram, and you do it in the third person voice, so in the objective general voice without using I, me, my. Of course, no you or yours because that's second person voice. Task 2 for general and academic, they tend to be formal, so you don't use contractions like don't. You have to write do not. Instead of hasn't, you have to write has not. Okay, so it's a formal persuasive essay, and it's either in the first person, you and your, or sorry, I, me, my, or it's in the third person. It depends on the question. If it's asking for your personal opinion, you can use the first person voice. If it's not asking for your personal opinion, then you can use the third person voice. Task 1 for general can be formal or informal, and it's a narrative, it's a story. It depends if you're writing a letter to your friend. If it's a letter to your friend, then it's informal. But if it's a letter to your boss, for example, then it should be formal. Okay, so you have to really pay attention to the question for these task 2 and task 1 general. All right. Okay, does that make sense, everyone, about the formal and informal essays? So I know we get a lot of questions about this from other students as well. And again, if we go back to our website here, and I'm already logged in here at ahelp.com, and then we go to our My Student account. There's a blog on this. So if you go to our blogs and you type essay types, I think you can do a search for that. Yeah, and so use this search bar here that I just used in our blogs just above my head. I typed in essay type and then I hit search. And as soon as I did that, I've got this blog here. And it says IELTS Task 2 Writing Question Types Answer Strategies. Let me make this page a little bit tinier. There we go. And now you can see this blog, okay? So this blog, there you go. It says there's a lot of confusion about the types of essay questions for Task 2 of the IELTS exam and the correct structure for answering these. Some people believe there are 4 types of essays, while others believe 2, and others still believe many more. In fact, these are all true and false. Okay, and then here's the full article that gives you a lot of explanation about this. So read these blogs on the website. You can look at those for free, by the way, everyone. Okay, all right, Kyber says, yes, that's cool. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Let me go back to the question coming after Kyber here. So the next question is by Andre, and Andre is asking, what we must to do. Okay, Andre, a little bit easier. What must we do? What must we do if in reading we have a difficult topic to read and totally do not understand? Dum dum dum. Okay. All right, Andre. I'll give you some ideas here. Okay, so this is Andre's question here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. All right. So, Andre, number 1, this is the answer. Okay, let's move Andre to the next line here. So, let's say you come across just a topic that's really foreign to you, okay, that you're having a lot of difficulty with. For instance, we have a couple in our exams where students are like, oh, that's a tough one, like causes of the American economic crisis, for instance. So answer number 1, if you have other passages that you haven't read yet, start with those. Okay, so if this happens to be passage 1 or passage 2, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? This topic is just really weird. Look at all of the titles of every passage, okay? In general IELTS, you're going to see 5 different kind of topics. In academic, you're going to see 3, but they're 3 longer ones. If one of them is just really confusing, leave that one till last, okay? So start with the ones that you know, where you have the best chance to pick up marks, okay? So keep that in mind. Don't force yourself, because then what can happen is you'll waste a lot of time trying to figure that one out, and then you get to another one where you do understand it, and then you're like, oh, but I only have 10 minutes left in the reading section. That's really bad, so don't do that, okay? So start with ones that you understand, okay? So the next step that you can do, of course, is read the questions, as these are paraphrased from the passage, so they will give you a better idea. Okay, so just read the questions, read them a couple times. Okay, and those should help you a little bit. Visualize. All right, so do your best to see the information. Okay. All right. Remember your own knowledge. Okay. So IELTS kind of introduces like grade 12 level information usually. So if you've finished your grade 12 and maybe you've done a year of college, then think about what you've learned about that. So let's say that your passage is about psychology, and you're like, oh, I don't know much about psychology. Well, don't panic. It might just be, a lot of it might be just general information about psychology. So as long as you remember the basics that you learned about human psychology in your school, that could really be helpful. Okay, so use your own knowledge. So basically, those are the best ways. And I'm going to give you another important piece of information here. If you are getting frustrated and you are still having lots of problems, take a deep breath. Do your best. And stay calm for the writing section. Just remember, students, the worst possible scenario is losing your cool, as this will have a negative effect on your writing as well. Okay, so don't freak out, don't panic, okay? You might surprise yourself, you might still do okay, even if you think that you don't understand the passage. The worst that can happen is you start freaking out, okay? And then you get to the writing section, your brain is still ruminating about the reading section, and your writing section scores suffer. So careful with all that, okay? Andre, does that make sense, students? Does that make sense? So what I said here. So Andre's question again was, what do we do if there's a really difficult topic in the reading section and you totally don't understand it? Start with another passage. Go to another passage. Read the questions. Paraphrase. They're paraphrased, right? So visualize. Really, really hard. Try hard to create some kind of an image in your head. Okay, and use the knowledge that you have. Okay. All right. Andre says, "I will do that." Okay, and definitely don't get all frustrated and get all crazy. Okay. All right. Let's see. After Andre, we have Mien asking how to avoid repeating myself and improving fluency while speaking. Very nice question, Mi. And it's a good one for next class, because we have a speaking part 3 next class, and I'm going to take some volunteers. And Mi, if you're in the class and you're volunteering, you can practice this, okay? So a really good question for now and for the next class as well. So this is me, and me is asking this question. And it's a good one because, in fact, me, this is kind of connected to Kyber's question with wordiness. So wordiness is not only in writing, of course, but it's also in speaking. And it's good to avoid wordiness in your expressed communication. So when you write and when you speak, you express ideas, right? You give ideas to the audience. And certainly you want to avoid wordiness in both of those scenarios, so oral or written, okay? And of course, you can't do the same as in writing because it's real time, right? So it's a little bit different than writing. You can't exactly be like, just a second, I'm going to say that again, but I'm going to remove some words, and I'm going to avoid my modals like would and can, and then say it again. So you have to do it in real time. It's real-time editing, right? It's real-time review, real-time editing, so it's more challenging. Now, here's an interesting one, me. By practicing concise writing, you will also become more concise while speaking. Okay, so doing this or doing these steps here for writing that we covered at the beginning from Kyber's question is super useful because that helps your verbal communication to be a lot more concise as well. All right, so that's tip number one: is do it in writing. Okay, it will help your brain to work fast in real time. Okay. Here are some other tips. Okay, so visualize the information, and the age-old saying, your parents have said it, all societies, all cultures have this saying, think before you speak. So do your best to come up with an answer before you speak, okay? It is better to use natural fillers and buy time to come up with a clear answer than to just start speaking, okay? So keep that in mind. It's not ideal, so in a perfect world, you're not using natural fillers and you're not asking for time, but it's still better to do that than to be really wordy. So it is better to use natural fillers such as or and to ask for time. That's an interesting question. May I have a moment? Then to repeat yourself or go off topic. Of course, another way to be concise is to remember that strategy that I keep saying, okay? So always remember: answer, explain, example. So a lot of what you're hearing here, me, it's just me kind of repeating those tips that I give you during the speaking classes. And to do this, use connective words, and this is an important one, me, because I think, me, if you practice this, you're going to get really good at this, okay? And use connective words that force you to be fluent and concise, like because, therefore, as a result, okay? That's for examples, and then for, that's for explanations. And then for examples, use the word just or like. Just keep that in your head, me. Like, really keep it in your head. And even if you don't have your example yet, use the word. So you can be like, just the other day, I went for a walk in the park and took some pictures of birds. Okay, so you can kind of stretch these connective words, and then that gives you an extra second to think about new information and to kind of hold on to your fluency. Okay, so example, and you can use just or like or the other day. Okay, lots of ways to do that. All right, is that clear, me? Okay, so thumbs up, students, if that's clear on how to make your speaking more fluent and less repetition. Of course, pay attention to the question. Use the elements of the question as well. It was a really good question because I know a lot of this information keeps getting repeated, but that's what it is. And even at the advanced level, people need to hear it again and again to really focus in and say, oh yeah, of course, yeah, I keep forgetting that example, or I keep forgetting that quantitative information. Okay, so pay attention to the question and use it in your answer. Okay, all right. Let's see here. So Bakrat is asking, why does it take me more than an hour to solve 3 passages, and I'm unable to finish the passages? Bakrat, to simply answer your question here, read more. So keep reading. Don't just read IELTS exams and IELTS passages, but read novels. So pick up a book that you like, that's got an interesting story. Maybe it's a mystery novel, maybe it's a fantasy novel, maybe it's a biography, and read it. Okay, read casual English every day to improve your comprehension and your fluency. A lot of students don't do that. A lot of students who take the IELTS still think that English is going to be just a secondary language for them, and they really only need to do the IELTS, and then once they pass the IELTS, they can kind of be like, okay, well, English is my secondary language, and whatever you're speaking, whether that's Vietnamese, Hindi, Punjabi, Russian, they think, okay, I'll just go back to that, and that's my main language. Students, you have to make, especially if you're young still, and I mean young like 30 or less, or even 40 or less, you have to make English your equally important primary language. It's the global language. So you have one language that's local to your region, and then you have another language that's just the language of the world, that's English. So you have to almost balance your language use like 50-50. 50% Hindi, 50% English, or 50% Vietnamese, 50% English. The sooner you do that, the much more likely that you're going to not only be more successful financially, because of course a lot of money is made and traded using English, but you'll also get to enjoy a bigger picture of the world. So basically these days all countries share their cultures through English, right? So it's not just like, oh, I'm learning English so that I can study in the States and understand American movies. No. You can be learning English to understand people better in Russia, or better in Sudan, or better in Malaysia, because that's how other cultures are sharing their people, their language as well. So make English 50% of your life. And Bakrat, as soon as you start doing that, your reading will improve, okay? All right. And again, for those people who are like, well, he's Canadian, he's English, and he's... No, I'm Canadian-Hungarian. I speak Canadian, I speak Hungarian, or Canadian, I speak English, I speak Hungarian, and I also learned Japanese for university, as in Canada, university students are required a global language like Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Russian. Hungarian is not accepted. So I speak 3 languages, and I can see how it's difficult, and I can empathize. But English is still the language that, most of the world is using, right? Okay. All right, so that's kind of my short answer, Buckrut. All right, everyone, we've had lots of questions, and I can see that there are a few more in the chat. Laura, pronunciation, focus on phonetics. Okay, I'm going to leave on that note. So Laura's asking, how do I improve my pronunciation? Laura, two important points on that. Number one, don't worry too much about your pronunciation. If other people can understand you, it's good enough, okay? Only worry about your pronunciation if people are like, what's going on, Laura? I can't understand you. What are you saying? Or they're like, oh, it's so weird how you pronounce that word. Laura, if you're getting a lot of that, worry about your pronunciation. If you're not getting a lot of that, don't worry about it, because there are many different styles of English around the world. So pronunciation is, I don't want to say the least of your worries, but it's not a major focus area in my opinion, okay? Unless people don't understand you. If people don't understand you, yes, then focus on pronunciation and you focus on phonetics, okay? Pronunciation, first of all, don't really worry about it. As long as people understand you. Like, there are some native English speakers that I don't really understand sometimes, okay? All right? If people don't understand you, understanding your words. Laura, if you can, volunteer for a question next class, in the next speaking class, and then I'll let you know if you need to even worry about your pronunciation, okay? So if people have trouble understanding your words, focus on phonetics, okay? And there are different kind of speech therapies and speech therapists and videos that show you how to move your tongue and your mouth to pronounce certain words. Copy native speakers. Okay, students, I'm going to stop there. Again, if I didn't answer your question, we had some really good questions in today's class, but if I didn't answer your question, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com, okay? So again, that's my email, and we can answer your questions there. You can also go to our website, and in your My Student account, you can get your questions answered by clicking on that Contact Us button way up there. You can look at the blog up there or the forum right up there, okay? So these three parts will help you to get answers. And of course, you can get a lot of answers by just going through the course there, okay? I'm looking the other side there. And to get access to our premium IELTS package, just click on that big red button there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Coming up in 30 minutes, I will host a speaking class. We're going to finish the week with speaking part 3. I will ask some questions. I'm going to call some of our viewers. I'm going to spend as much time as possible today on that. So make sure to come back and get into the chat. I'll be looking for some members as well, okay? All right, Andrew says, it's like I'm in a spaceship. I'm looking around, right? It's like I'm in the cockpit of a spaceship. All right. So 30 minutes, I'll be back, everybody. Make sure to visit us on our websites at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. We've got loads and loads of learning there for you. It's well worth it. Have an awesome break. Shake out the legs, take a short walk maybe, have a cup of water, come back, and get ready for some speaking part 3. See you soon, everybody. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria. Thanks for your questions, members. Bye for now.